Okay, I'll give you that. It kind of sounds as if when machines and human beings come together, things become a little bit better. But I mean, can't you? We talk about machine learning and AI as if it's now the in thing. But I mean, where did this all start?
You know, it started before the Dark Ages. 60 to 70 BC, before COVID.
But I was not alive.
I hope not.
Okay.
Around 1950s, there was a guy called Alan Turing. Maybe you've seen the movie Imitation Game. He was like the person, Cumberbatch acts as Alan Turing. So Turing devised this test where it's a series of questions where machine and a human could play it, and it's to see if you can distinguish the machine from the human. And that started the real quest for whether machines can act like humans and think like humans and respond like humans. But that requires a lot of computational powers. So, in the 50s and 60s, we just didn't have the computational powers or the deep algorithm needed to do this. Then, a lot of scientists were working on things like expert system, which didn't quite cut it. It's more rules-based. It's not how the world works. Come down, years later, there was, marginal improvements. Let's call that, AI winter. There wasn't just enough happening. Finally, the AI winter ended, and we started seeing better things coming out.
So just I mean, when were you born, if I may ask? Because I've got the sense that you were not around in the 50s and 60s. Otherwise, they would have solved this problem long ago.
I look good for my age.
Indeed you are, right? So you say it's not been easy. There was a lot of grinding, a lot of hard work that people had to go through. But are we now in the summer?
We are so much in the summer. So, about 10 years ago, we had the development or the popularization of deep learning. And, you would have heard words like in TV, neural networks and natural language processing and all that stuff. That kind of technology allowed us to create more human-like interactions. So, Siri, things like Siri.
That one who corrects my language, that one.
That's perfect. Siri knows everything.
Nah, I don't like her. I don't like her. She reminds me too much of my wife. But we're not going to talk about that now. All right, so a lot has happened. Things have evolved. But I mean, you talked about Alan Turing. What was that, in the 50s, 60s?
Yes.
That's a long time ago, right? But I mean, if we are celebrating 10 years, then clearly we have to kind of go back to the year of our Lord 2013.
Yeah.
More or less.
When deep learning really got popularized.
Yeah.
And we, like I said, the natural language processing, all that started coming out and the technology started improving a lot better. And so you had all these new things coming out like IoTs and cloud computing that allowed us to store more data, compute more data. And so we started getting smart cities and autonomous vehicles. And now we had smart grids, so where technology was interacting with humans to make better decisions. The real change, one big change in history was when Go was programmed and it could start competing with humans. And so it could take in a lot of information and make human-like decisions. And that was really where we are at now, where you have machines making more human-like decisions than we've ever had before.
All right, so technology is advanced. You guys are in the game of data, machine learning. McAllery, 2013, where were you?
Yes, so 2013, where were I? Actually, I was still at the university at that point, and I looked now at Kap, and I realized that he will probably remind me at this stage.
Yes, so I very specifically recall a phone call in October 2012 when McAllery and a friend of ours phoned me and said, listen, we're going to start this machine learning company. So technically, it's a little bit older. It's almost going on 11 years. But McAllery can give you the definition of how he defines the starting date of Praelexis.
Yes, yes, the company was formed in 2012, and I'll tell a bit about now, but actually the official birth date is in March 2013, and that's where the first employees, other people besides the people who started the company, joined the company. So I realized that it's about the other people. It's not a single person that's doing a thing. And to that reason, and we will talk about later, perhaps, about these things as well, that we specifically define the date to be centered around when other people start joining the company. But in 2012, I actually want to tell you, one of my PhD supervisors, when she got her interview at the university to become a lecturer, they asked her, what is your 50 years plan? And then she said, well, hopefully to be alive. Now, I then also in 2012, being at the university, I thought, okay, I should also be busy with my 50-year plan. And so part of that 50-year plan is you must spend somewhere else in Europe or in the States somewhere. That's what academics do, and do a postdoc or do some research. And so I spent that year in Leuven in Belgium. And in April 2012, roughly, I was at a conference there in a small town in Germany called Bad Neuenahr. And I had to give a research vision lecture. So again, my 50-year plan. What am I going to do the next 50 years? And the talk of my presentation was machine learning for Africa. And I can distinctly remember, I actually still have the presentation. I started off with a slide where there's some cows walking over the N2 as you drive towards the airport. Now, of course, they're not supposed to be there. But on the other hand...
And you're not supposed to take pictures while driving either, but okay.
Exactly, that's the other, that's the other part. But nonetheless, there are cows on the N2. And they're crossing it, at least with the pedestrian crossing. And that's the point that I wish to convey that day in lectures, is we're living down here on the continent of Africa. We have our own context. We have different cows walking across different roads. But still, I believe that one can use data and machine learning and AI to actually solve problems for us, and then make those problems, African problems are also world problems, take it elsewhere. The rest of the presentation then look at things like agriculture, at health, at education, and all those kind of things. And that kind of started discussion. At the end of the presentation, the feedback was, well, you better go and do these things in industry and not in academia. And that is then when I also then contacted a good friend of mine, Georgie Farmer, who was also the co-founder of the business. I said at that point, listen, there's something here that we need to look at. Interesting enough, there are two other events that also play an important role. The one being the 100th birthday of IBM, and that made Watson very popular. So that was a big event, lots of things around that. The other one was a report by McKinsey that they brought out, which is something like AI, the next frontier for innovation. And that's all those little things that then made me realize, together with kind of like a push, that you should do that. So when I come back, I worked at university, teach still some more, and then eventually start the journey. And tonight there are people from the university also here, for which I am very, very much grateful still, since they've granted me then the year of 2013 unpaid leave, with the thing that they say that if you don't make it, then you can come back to your old job. Now, fortunately, I resigned at the end of this year. They then offered me some position again, so I still have a student there and here. But of course, that year of almost a buffer, that although I wasn't paid anything, but just I can get my 50-year plan back, was enough to be kicked out and try something. And so that I guess is the start of the company. I might add one more thing, and that machine learning for Africa is still to this day part of the company, since we look at something bigger that we want to look at, and specifically there, the Millennium Development Goals at that point. And now we've changed it towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And that's something that we try to make our bigger why. Behind me there, we say that Praelexis is responsible for a sustainable future, and that sustainable specifically is to align with the SDGs. So, for example, when we work in financial services, then the first goal actually is to eradicate poverty. And yes, we will not eradicate it on our own, but a little bit of helping with financial inclusion, understanding, helping people to be better in financial inclusiveness, plays a tiny bit into this goal. And I think that was the idea of the SDGs, is that every company should play a little bit of a role in order to reach the large. And that's the sort of where we started.
Yeah, I mean, and as you're telling the story, it's that realization that your learning becomes relevant when it's connected to reality. And it's really the sense that it's grounded in the continent, really. I just want to double check. I mean, you spoke about cows and then there was a Georgie farmer. Is there a connection between the farmer and the cow, or is it just coincidence?
There's no connection. No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, technically, my surname also has a Hof in it, which is probably also a farm.
All right. So it's in there. So I mean, I'm glad that you spent that 50 years thinking, and that we're at this point where we are celebrating, in a sense, what people would call or say, and the rest is history, but it's probably the rest is our story, not his story. But when I hear this kind of stuff, I get a good feeling. I mean, I am feeling good.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, that's how I feel. This old world is a new world and a bold world for me, and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know what I mean. Blossom on a tree, that's how I feel. This whole world is a new world and a bold world for me, and I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Freedom is mine, and I know how it feels. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Feeling good, yeah. Stars when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of a pine, you know what I mean. Freedom is mine, I know how that feels. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, yeah. And I'm feeling so good. I feel so good. I feel so good.